The apartment was empty when I got back. Not just empty like she'd gone out for groceries, empty like she'd never existed. The floral bed sheets I'd bought her last month, gone. The pink slippers by the bathroom door, gone. Even the stupid Hello Kitty magnet she'd stuck on my fridge with a photo of us at Tagaytay, gone. All that remained was a single hair tie on the kitchen counter, and the smell of her jasmine shampoo still hanging in the air like a ghost. I stood there for maybe 10 minutes just staring at that hair tie, doing the math in my head for the 100th time that week. $450,000 when I landed in Manila 18 months ago. $110,000 left in my account this morning. All these happened because of a 24-year-old maid I hired off a Facebook group, who used to call me sir, and now probably doesn't give two about me. Okay, let's pause it right there. Welcome back to Journals Beyond Horizons. Today's story comes from Rio, 68 years old, retired construction supervisor from Nevada, and a man who thought he'd learned every hard lesson life had to offer. He survived a near-fatal car accident that left him dependent on others for months. He survived watching his wife walk out when his recovery took too long. He survived rebuilding his life from scratch, alone, with nothing but grit and a pension check. What he didn't survive, the slow, quiet erosion of trust that happens when loneliness meets opportunity, when a kind smile becomes a business strategy, when helping turns into taking so gradually you don't notice until there's nothing left to take. This isn't a story about a scam. There were no fake emergencies, no forged documents, no dramatic betrayals, just a maid who saw an opening and a man who mistook convenience for connection. Without saying much, here's Rio's story in his own words. So yeah, let's get into it. The name's Rio, 68, from Henderson, Nevada, spent most of my adult life supervising construction crews, commercial buildings, strip malls, that 3-story parking garage off Boulder Highway that everybody complains about. Hard work, decent money, union benefits, did everything by the book. In 2019, everything stopped. I was driving home from a site inspection on a Tuesday afternoon. Some kid in a Civic ran a red light doing maybe 50, T-boned me right into a telephone pole. I don't remember the impact, just waking up in a hospital bed 3 days later with my wife Linda sitting in the corner crying into a Kleenex. The damage, shattered pelvis, fractured vertebrae, severe nerve damage in my left leg. The doctors said I was lucky to be alive, didn't feel lucky, felt like I'd been run through a wood chipper. Insurance covered most of the medical bills, thank God for that. But what they don't cover is what happens after. The slow, grinding recovery. The physical therapy that feels like torture. The nights when you can't sleep because every position hurts. The mornings when you need help getting to the bathroom. Linda tried, honestly. I'll give her that. For the first 6 months she was there. Helped me bathe, dressed me, drove me to appointments. But I could see it wearing on her. The resentment building. She'd married a man who could lift steel beams and climb scaffolding. Now she had a patient who needed a walker to get to the kitchen. By month 8, she was sleeping in the guest room. By month 10, she stopped coming to my therapy sessions. And by month 12, she sat me down and said the words I'd been dreading. I can't do this anymore, Rio. I'm sorry. It feels like I don't have a life anymore. No fight, no screaming, just a calm, exhausted resignation, and I understood her. She moved out weeks later, filed for divorce about a month after that. We didn't have kids, never could, medical thing on her side, so there wasn't much to split. She took her stuff, I kept the house, and that was that. People say time heals everything. That's horseshit. Time just makes you forget what it felt like to be whole. By 2021 I was functional again, could walk without the cane most days, could drive short distances, but I wasn't the same, physically or mentally. The house felt too big, too quiet. Every room reminded me of what I'd lost. I've started hiring help. Maids mostly. Someone to clean, do laundry, help with groceries when my leg was acting up. I went through 3 different ones in Vegas. All professional, all efficient, but the house still felt empty. They'd come in, do their work, leave. Transaction complete. And I realized I didn't just need help. I needed a reason to stay. By early 2022, I'd made up my mind. I was getting out of Nevada. The house held too many ghosts. Linda's coffee mug, still in the cabinet. The recliner she used to sit in. The bedroom where we used to sleep before she moved to the guest room. Every corner was a reminder of what I'd lost. And the money situation wasn't helping. Between property taxes, utilities, insurance, and just basic living costs, my pension wasn't stretching like it used to. I was pulling $2,800 a month from my construction pension, plus Social Security, bringing it to about $4,100 total. In Vegas, that was barely enough, so I did what a lot of guys my age do when they realize America isn't affordable anymore. I started looking abroad. Mexico, Costa Rica, Panama, Thailand, Philippines. I spent months on expat forums, watching YouTube videos, calculating cost of living. The Philippines kept coming up as one of the best for Americans. English speaking, warm weather, friendly people, and rent that wouldn't break me. I sold the house in April 2022 for $385,000. After paying off the remaining mortgage and covering closing costs, I walked away with around $450,000. Combined with my monthly pension, I figured I could live comfortably in the Philippines and never have to touch the principal if I was smart about it. Got my ticket to Manila, 3 suitcases, with no intention of returning. I landed in Manila in late May 2022, middle of the hot season. The heat hit me like opening an oven door. But I didn't care. For the first time in 3 years, I felt like I was moving forward instead of just existing. The first 2 weeks in Manila were rough. I'd rented a furnished condo in Makati site, unseen, found it on an expat Facebook group. 2 bedrooms, 35,000 pesos a month, about $620. I think I got lucky because others in the group was paying 700 plus for something like that in that area. Nice building, security, pool. But I was struggling with everything else. Where to get groceries was a bit far. Didn't know how to use the jeepneys. Didn't speak Tagalog beyond Salamat and Magkano. And my leg was acting up from all the walking and heat. I needed help, real help, not just someone to clean once a week. So I posted in one of those expats in Manila Facebook groups, American retiree in Makati looking for maid. Cleaning, cooking, errands, 3 to 4 days per week. Reasonable pay. Got maybe 20 responses in an hour. Most were from agencies wanting to charge me monthly fees, but one message stood out. Personal messages, she greeted me with, "Good day, sir," and said, her name is Clarita, 24 years old, living in Quezon City. She can clean, cook, do laundry, and can also help with shopping. Again, she's available Monday to Friday if I need, and charge just 450 pesos per day, said Sowit. 450 pesos? About $8. Immediately I messaged her back, we set up a time, and she showed up the next Monday very early. She was tiny, maybe 5 feet 1 inch, slim, with long dark hair pulled back in a ponytail, wore simple clothes, carried a small backpack with her cleaning supplies and a change of clothes. "Good morning, Sir Rio," she said with a small bow. She got a really soft voice, seemed very polite, and was ready to work. Come in. I stepped aside. "It's just a small place. Shouldn't take too long." She moved through the apartment methodically, swept, mopped, scrubbed the bathroom until it gleamed, organized my scattered clothes, washed the dishes I'd been letting pile up. Didn't complain, didn't chat, just worked. 3 hours later, the place looked better than it had since I moved in. "All done, sir." She stood by the door, hands folded. "Anything else you need?" "No, that's great, really great." I told her and I handed her 500 pesos. "Keep the change." Her eyes went wide, said it was too much, but then I told her that she did good work and I appreciate it. She smiled, small, genuine, and bowed again. "Thank you, sir. You need me again, just message." And she left. Already I found myself thinking of the next time she'll come back. Well, she came back on Wednesday, then Friday, then the next Monday. By the 3rd week, we had a routine. She'd show up at 9 a.m, clean, do laundry, sometimes cook me lunch if I asked. Simple stuff. Fried rice, adobo, sinigang. She was a decent cook, better than the instant noodles I'd been living on most days because I can't cook. She didn't talk much at first, just polite small talk. "How are you today, sir?" "Do you need me to buy anything?" "Your leg is okay." But slowly, bit by bit, she opened up. Told me she lived with her mum and younger sister in Quezon City. Her dad had passed away when she was 16. She'd worked odd jobs since then, fast food, retail, cleaning houses. Assisted her family with whatever she has. I told her about my accident, my ex-wife, why I'd come to Manila. She listened without judgment or picking sides, just nodded and said, "You are very strong, sir. Not many people start over like you." That hit me, made me feel seen in a way I hadn't felt in years. One Friday in late June, she finished cleaning earlier than usual. I was sitting on the balcony drinking coffee, leg propped up because it was throbbing that day. She came out, hesitated, then said, Sir, can I ask you something? I told her, sure, why not? Do you ever feel lonely here, being far from home? I thought about it. Yes, sometimes, but I was lonely back home too. At least here I don't squeeze my face when paying the bills. She laughed, a soft one. We sat in silence for a moment. Then she said, I think you are a kind man, sir. Many foreigners here, they are not kind. They yell, they treat us like we are nothing. But you are different. Well, I try. She smiled, and for the first time, it didn't feel like she was just being polite. It felt real. By mid-July, I'd been in Manila for about 6 weeks, and I realized something. Clarita coming over 3 times a week wasn't enough. The other days, when she wasn't there, the apartment felt empty again. I'd sit around, watch TV I didn't pay attention to, eat meals alone. The loneliness was creeping back in every chance it gets, and I'm not a bar guy type, and that pretty sums it all up. So one Friday, after she finished cleaning, I made an offer. Clarita, can I ask you something? She looked up and said, Yes, sir. Didn't know how she'll perceive my question, but I said it anyway. What if you worked for only me, full time? Come here every day, maybe even stay in the second bedroom if you want. I'd pay you better. 3,000 pesos a day cash. That's about $54 a day. $1,600 a month. Her eyes went wide. That was probably more than she made in a month working for multiple clients. Every day, sir. Yeah, I need more help than just cleaning, cooking, errands, maybe helping me with my Tagalog. And honestly, I hesitated. It's nice having someone around. She was quiet for a long moment, thinking. Then she asked, And I can stay here, in the second bedroom? If you want. Save you the commute from Quezon City. I'll still pay you the same. She bit her lip, calculating. Then she nodded. Okay, sir, I can do that, but I need to tell my mum first. Of course, take your time. She moved in 3 days later, a small duffel bag with her clothes, a worn stuffed bear that looked like it had been with her since childhood, and a photo of her family in a frame. She said, Thank you, sir, to me as she set her things down in the second bedroom. This is very good opportunity for me. You're helping me out too, I said. So thank you. And just like that, she became a permanent part of my life. For the first month, everything was professional. She had her room, I had mine. She cooked, cleaned, helped me with errands. We'd watch TV together in the evenings. Filipino shows mostly, her explaining the drama. I tried to follow along, but it's hard. But it all felt comfortable. Domestic, like having a roommate who actually cared. But then little things started to change. She started asking about my day more. Sir, how was your walk? Your leg okay? Sir, you look tired. You want me to make you tea? She'd sit closer to me on the couch during movies. Not inappropriate, just close. Her shoulder touching mine, her laugh a little louder when I made jokes. One night in August, we were watching some action movie when she said, out of nowhere, Sir Rio, can I ask you a personal question? Sure, I said, as always. You ever get lonely, like lonely for someone? I looked at her. Sometimes. Why? She shrugged and said, Me too. It's hard being alone when you see everyone else with someone. Yeah, it is. Then she said, You have girlfriend before, in America? I was married for 23 years, but she left after my accident. I think I've said this earlier to her before, but maybe she didn't understand it all. At that moment, Clarita turned to look at me, her face soft with sympathy. That's so sad, sir. You're such a good man. She should have stayed. Life doesn't always work like that, you know. She then looked down at her hands. My boyfriend left me too, 2 years ago. Said I was asking too much and not pretty enough. He wanted girl with money, with nice family. That's his loss, I said. Little did I know that guy dodged a bullet. But at that point she smiled. Sad, but genuine. You really think so? Yeah, you're smart, hard-working, kind. Any guy would be lucky. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she said, quietly, You are different from other men, sir. You see people, not just what they can give you. And then, I don't know who moved first, but her hand found mine. I should have pulled away. Should have reminded her this was a professional arrangement. Should have kept the boundary clear. But I didn't, because for the first time in 3 years I felt wanted. Within 2 weeks the second bedroom sat empty. It wasn't some dramatic seduction, no grand gesture. Just a quiet, gradual shift. She'd fall asleep on the couch during movies, and I'd tell her to just sleep in my room instead of walking all the way to hers. Then she started leaving clothes in my closet. Then her toothbrush appeared next to mine. By September, we weren't pretending anymore. She stopped calling me Sir Rio. Just Rio. Sometimes Hon. Sometimes she'd kiss me on the cheek when I woke up, bring me coffee in bed, curl up next to me at night like we'd been together for years. I knew it looked bad. I knew what people would think. Old white guy, young Filipina maid, obvious power imbalance. But I didn't care, because for the first time since the accident I felt alive again. She made me feel like I mattered. Like I wasn't just some broken down old man waiting to die in a foreign country. She'd hold my hand when we walked through the malls, introduce me to her friends as her boyfriend, post photos of us on Facebook with heart emojis, and I ate it up, every bit of it. The spending started small. Rio, my mum's roof is leaking. Maybe you can help? Just 50,000 pesos. 50,000 pesos. I sent it without thinking twice. My sister needs new school uniform. 8,000 pesos. Done. My cousin's motorcycle broke. He needs it for work. Maybe 60,000 pesos. I hesitated on that one. But Clarita looked at me with those big, sad eyes and said, "He has 3 kids, Rio. If he can't work, they don't eat." And just like that, I sent it. By October, I'd given her family over $5,000 for various emergencies. And I told myself it was fine. This is what you do when you care about someone. You help their family. That's part of the package, but then came the big ask. We were lying in bed one night in late October when she brought it up. "Rio, can I tell you my dream?" "Sure." "I want to build a house. Not big house, just small. For me and my mum. Somewhere outside Manila, where it's quiet. Maybe Antipolo or Laguna." "That sounds nice." "You think..." She hesitated. "You think maybe we could do it together, like our house?" I turned to look at her. "Our house?" "Yeah, for our future. You don't want to rent forever, right? If we buy land, build small house, we can live there. Save money, no more rent." She made it sound so reasonable, so practical. I asked her, how much would that cost? She'd clearly thought about this. Land maybe 1.5 million pesos, building maybe 2 million, total about 3.5 million pesos. I did the math in my head. About $63,000 total. That's a lot of money, Clarita. I know. But Rio, think about it. We spend 35,000 every month on rent. That's 420,000 pesos a year. In 3 years, we spend more than the land costs. If we build, we have something forever. She wasn't wrong. The math made sense. But something in my gut hesitated. "Let me think about it," I said. She kissed me. "Okay, just think about it." But over the next 2 weeks, she brought it up constantly, showed me listings, took me to see plots of land on weekends, talked about where the kitchen would go, where we'd plant a garden, how peaceful it would be. And slowly I started to believe in the dream too. By November, I'd wired 1.8 million pesos for land in Antipolo, about $32,000. The land was in her name, had to be, since foreigners can't own land in the Philippines. But she promised it was our land, for our future together. I believed her. Once the land was bought, the spending accelerated. December, 2.5 million pesos, $45,000 wired for constructing the house. January, another 800,000 pesos, $14,500, for materials that cost more than expected. February, 650,000 pesos, $11,800 for a car. I bought a used Toyota Vios, but she used it most of the time. She usually drove it to the construction site and check on progress. March, 400,000 pesos, $7,200 for furniture and appliances. Had to buy them early to get a good deal. April, 300,000 pesos, $5,400 for electrical problems that came up during construction. At this point, I didn't even bother asking too many questions because every time she had a reason, a good reason, and every time I sent the money. By May 2023, 1 year after arriving in Manila, I'd spent over $180,000 on the house and related costs. But here's the thing, I barely saw it. Every time I asked to visit the construction site with her, she had an excuse or the other. And note that I've seen it a few times though, and yes, it's the constructor that gave the prices, so it wasn't just from her mouth. Also, I trusted her. Why wouldn't I? She was sleeping in my bed every night, cooking my meals, taking care of me. We were building a life together, at least that's what I thought. By June, something had changed. Clarita wasn't around as much. She'd leave early in the morning, say she was checking on her mum, she got sick and her sister is not home to help her, and she'll come back late at night. Sometimes she wouldn't come back at all, said she was staying with her mum. When she was home, she was distracted, always on her phone, texting and smiling at the screen in ways she didn't smile at me anymore. "Who are you texting?" I asked one night. "Just my friend," she said without looking up. "Must be a funny friend." She glanced at me, irritated. "Why? You jealous?" "No, I just... Rio, I have my own life too. I can't just be with you 24/7. That stung, but I didn't push. The intimacy faded. She stopped sleeping in the same bed most nights, said she was tired, needed her own space. The second bedroom that had been empty for months suddenly had clothes in it again. Her toiletries moved back to the other bathroom. We weren't fighting. There was no big blow-up, and just a slow, quiet drift. By July, I barely saw her 3 times a week, and when I asked the constructor when we could move into the house, he'd say, "Soon, Rio, just a few more things to round up." Didn't go there as often as she does. I can even count how many times I've been there, but then I started to get suspicious. One afternoon I called a grab and rode out to Antipolo myself. Didn't tell her I was coming, and as for the car, I didn't think that's the best option because of my leg and the heavy traffic I'll likely face around Ortigas Avenue. Well, I eventually got there. The house was beautiful. 2 bedrooms, big windows, already tiled floors, exactly what everyone had described, her and the builder. But it wasn't empty. There were clothes hanging on a line outside, men's clothes, work boots by the door, a motorcycle parked under the carport. I stood there, heart pounding, trying to make sense of it. Then a guy walked out. Probably mid-20s, fit, shirtless, holding a can of Coke. He froze when he saw me. "Who are you?" he asked in English. "I'm Rio. I own this house." And I asked him what he was doing there. He was stammering, and even he said, "He is among the painters. He stays far away, that's why he slept here." Well, that was explainable, but I was suspicious. I said, "Okay," and left. It all aligned. I mean, the house wasn't painted yet, and also workers do sleep on site. That's no big deal. I went back to the condo and waited. Clarita came home around later that evening, cheerful, humming some song. She stopped when she saw my face. She asked what was wrong. Told her I went to Antipolo today. Her face didn't change. Didn't even flinch. "Okay. And how was it? Beautiful, right?" I immediately just said, "Met your boyfriend." She went silent. Then she sighed. Not guilty, not apologetic, just tired, wasn't even trying to argue. And you know the worst part? I wasn't even sure it was her boyfriend, just fell something off and she didn't even care, and that's what's marveling me. She didn't deny it, just stood there, arms crossed. I asked her why. "Why did you do this?" "Because I needed the money," she said simply. "My family needed help. Miguel couldn't afford to help. You could. So I worked for it." "Worked for it?" I thought... I couldn't even say it. "I thought we were together." "We were, kind of. I cared about you, Rio, I really did. But I also needed to take care of my future. And Miguel is my future. You..." She looked at me, almost pitying. "You were always going to be temporary." I told her, "I gave you everything." "I know, and I'm grateful. Really, you're a good man." She said it like she was talking to a child. "But Rio, you're almost 70 years old. Did you really think a 24-year-old girl was going to love you forever? Be realistic. And you should know that I never lied to you, Rio. I just let you believe what you wanted to believe. And you wanted to believe someone could love you. That's not my fault." That word, realistic, like I was the idiot for believing her. "I want you out," I said quietly. "Okay." She didn't fight, didn't cry, just went to the bedroom, packed her things in silence, and walked out. No apology, no explanation, just like that. After she left, I sat down and went through my bank statements. Here's what I've spent, I'll just summarize it. Land and construction, $180,000. Car, $11,800 family emergencies and monthly help. $85,000 furniture, appliances, and other random expenses. $15,000 inflated living costs, which was because of her. $48,000. And the total added up to $339,800, from $450,000 to $110,200 in 18 months. 3/4 of my life savings. But well, the house was under my name, and the car, I owned that too. I'm very grateful for that. But now the real problem is the land. She owned that one. Yeah, I bought it, but the Philippines rules. If I had known, I would have just leased the land. But who would have thought? I mean, when you have an easier option. The unbelievable thing is what she's demanding. She telling me to demolish the house. I don't even know if she knows how stupid that sounds. She think that's how the law works. I've tried talking to a lawyer to help buy her off and then maybe I'll lease it. Because what she's demanding to lease the land is crazy. Just thinking about it, I'm rolling on the floor. This girl is asking for $2 million to lease the land for 50 years. And she's saying it's 50 years or nothing, later came down to 1.5 and doesn't want to hear anything below that. Imagine that. $1.5 million for a land I bought for $180,000. Honestly, I still can't believe it. I have to repurchase what I already bought. Still, haven't started living there. Thinking of selling it off. Haven't started living there. Here's the detail that haunts me. I tried to marry her twice. I hinted at it twice. First time was in February, right after we bought the land. I just said it casually while we were celebrating. She looked uncomfortable, smiled, kissed my cheek and said, "Rio, let's wait, let's finish the house first. Then we talk about marriage." Second time was in April. I brought it up over dinner. "Clarita, I want to make this official. I want to marry you." She brushed it off. "Rio, I don't think I want to get married, not now." "Why not?" "Because marriage is, I'm just not ready, and I don't want to move to America. I want to stay here." "We don't have to move. I'm happy here." "Still, let's just focus on the house for now." And I let it go. Looking back, I would say, she made it easy for me in a way. I mean, most girls would have said yes, married me, drained me even harder. But another part is still thinking that maybe if we had married, I won't be facing any issue with the land stuff. Well, it is what it is. But I think she didn't need to marry me. She already had access to my money. Marriage would have just complicated things for her. She was smarter maybe. Well, that's my piece, and well, that's it for me. I hope you post soon, and if anyone have something for me, I'll be in the comments, but I don't think I'm comfortable enough to reply them. Appreciate you, buddy, for giving us your platform. You're very much welcome. So, let's ask the hard question. Who's the villain here? Is it Clarita who took that amount of money from a lonely 68-year-old man and left him high and dry? But let's look at her side. She's a 24-year-old from a poor family in Quezon City. She met a wealthy foreigner who offered her more money than she'd ever seen. She provided real services, cleaned, cooked, took care of him, slept with him, managed his life. And when he offered to buy land, she didn't say no. Was it love? Definitely no. Was it honest? Not entirely. But was it survival? Absolutely. Rio knew somewhere in the back of his mind that this wasn't real. A 24-year-old doesn't fall for a man in his late 60s with a bad leg and a modest pension. Not genuinely. But he chose to believe it anyway, because believing it meant not being alone. And loneliness, for men like Rio, is scarier than losing money. Let's discuss, was Rio a fool for trusting her, or was Clarita wrong for taking advantage of a lonely man? Subscribe to Journals Beyond Horizons for more real stories from men navigating retirement abroad. Next week, I've got an even crazier story for you guys, and those that have a story to share, please keep it coming on journalsbeyondhorizons@gmail.com. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're thinking about moving abroad for companionship, remember this. Don't mistake gratitude for love. Don't confuse dependency for devotion. And never ever put a house in someone else's name just because they smile when you're around. Thanks for watching. Stay smart out there.